Today we're going to introduce our Saturated Canary rubber stamps to clay. This technique is messy and it's fun, totally makes me feel like a kid again, and the resulting pieces are beautiful. For the base of my piece, I've started with a medium weight chipboard. You could use recycled cereal boxes or just about anything, really. You don't even have to use it if you don't want to. You could just freeform your clay. I like using it because it adds some strength to the finished piece. After tracing my shape onto the chipboard, I'm just going to trim it out with some scissors, and then once that's all done, I'm going to punch a hole. Now, punching this hole is really only necessary if you plan on using your piece as a charm. Now you can see that I've pulled out my clay. I love this brand of clay. It is an air dry clay. That means that you do not have to bake it. You can just let it set out and it'll set up on its own. I actually found this clay in my local grocery store in their little art section, so keep your eyes peeled, guys, because you never know when you're going to come across fabulous art supplies. You can see that I've added a little bit of water. Now, water is so helpful in smoothing out paper clay. You can get such a beautiful finish on your piece just by adding a little bit of water, taking your time, and smoothing out all of the cracks and rough edges. Now that we've got our piece all smooth and our hole has been repunched, it's time to grab our stamp. I've decided to use Bella, and I'm going to literally just take my time, get really down close at eye level with my clay, and center it just how I want on my piece. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and press firmly down into the clay. Now when you pull your stamp back, you may notice that there's a few rough spots. No worries, just take a little bit of water and a very gentle hand and then smooth them out. Now through the whole process, you're going to want to keep reinforcing that hole. When your piece is completely dry, I like to go over it with a sander, just a very light hand. This particular sanding block is one that I picked up from the hardware store. It's meant for drywall, but it works fabulously on paper clay. And now we paint. I always like to start with a base coat of white. It just kind of preps the surface for the other paint. You'll notice that when I paint the front of the piece, I'm using a stippling motion. This is very important. You don't want to run the risk of completely covering over your beautiful stamped impression with paint. So just use your stippling motion. You're going to get good coverage and you're going to preserve that beautiful image. Now you can see that I've gone on to my second coat of paint. This particular paint is a beautiful pearly color and I think it's going to look awesome with our finished piece. Alright, now don't freak out. I know I have just poured a ton of black paint all over my beautiful clay piece. This is how we antique it. This is going to actually bring the image out and make it pop. I have completely covered the entire piece with the black paint, really making sure that I have worked it down into the grooves of our impression. Now I'm going to begin just taking off a little bit of the excess paint. You can do this with a dry paper towel, but I really just kind of like to use my hand. Now the easy part, you just got to let it set and dry. Once your black paint is completely dry, we're going to make that image pop even more by buffing it with a mostly dry towel. Now I like to use just an old raggy terry cloth towel, but really anything will work. You could use a paper towel, and you don't want it soaking wet. You just want it slightly damp, because if it's too wet, you're going to remove too much paint. So slightly damp, and just buff it until you're happy with the results. Awesome, right? Alright guys, I hope you've had fun playing with me today. Now go grab your stamps and get going on some beautiful pieces of your own to embellish your project and yourself. Alright guys, see you next time.